Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, well, this is not the Spring Championships. This is a show match between Blackstar OP and Boneng. As I have said many times in the past, Blackstar OP, possibly one of the stronger players. I was at a point the strongest player on ESO, I would have said. Certainly a very good player. As of the return of some of the other pros, namely H2O and a couple of other people, I wouldn't say Blackstar is the best objectively. They're certainly still very strong. But the point is, very, very good player. And his opponent, well, let's start with him. Blackstar here in the south of the map in the colour blue, playing as Japan. Going to lay down that cherry orchard right away. Of course, wants to use that for, well, you have to. That's where you gather food. But the other cherry orchard, going to be doing some scouting in the back here. Not too bad at all. Going to be picking up some goats if he does indeed find them, as there are a few, as we can see on Kamchatka. But, yes, picking up the 50 wood treasure in his base. Not too bad, as Japan definitely will be using that for, of course, his consulate. And he's going to be collecting a fair amount of wood, or at least usually they do here. Hasn't got his well. Obviously that crate is now going down, but normally they add down the consulate.
Yeah, hold on, just here in the middle. We see that Blackstar immediately went for the center part of this map, and as we all know probably by now, is that this center part always has a very nice treasure, or actually almost always.
Oh wow, 90.
So he was able to find 90 wood right away, uncontested, because Boneng was scouting the other way.
Absolutely, that's pretty good for him. Not too bad, but yeah, wow. Imagine if Japan had got that. The shrine comes across a 40 wood treasure, but yeah. The point is that Japan really likes wood in the early portion of the game, but he's not going for that early consulate. Actually, Japan normally does that. Adds in the consulate, allies himself with the Portuguese for that minus 15% bonus to the cost of buildings, and that obviously makes your shrines very cheap. You stack that with the Heavenly Kami upgrade, which of course reduces the cost further and makes them generate more resources. And obviously you stack that again with the Age 2 Giant Shrine Wonder, and you have a really good shrine build. But not going to go with the consulate. Maybe has some sort of aggressive agenda in mind, which is not typical of Japan. They're very boomissive and not quite as good at rushing, largely because they don't have a 3 villager shipment. We'll get on that in a moment. But let's introduce Blackstar. Wait, I introduced Boneng. He's playing as Japan. I think I got the introduction wrong. Wow, I am so good at this game.
But it looks like Boneng might be going for that other rush strategy, which is just making the consulate after your age up, and then making it forward and then going with the clubs and stuff. That is an interesting option that he might go for.
Oh, that's going to be really interesting. Like Germany, one of those civilizations that likes to go up to Fortress Age and just feels very comfortable doing so against Japan because they don't expect any early pressure. He's going to have to be vigilant here, Blackstar. He's definitely going to have to do the scouting, make sure he can see that incoming. Though Blackstar hasn't actually laid down that trading post. Certainly, did he have? No, he didn't have enough wood to do so. It was a 100 wood start, so that would be why. But anyway, yeah, Boneng from the Japanese community has a slightly different metagame to the European people. What's going on? What do you think, Benny?
Well, yeah, we know that Boneng has has often different strategies, but these are actually very common strategies as well. I mean, not common in a way that you see it that much.
I know.
It's a very known strategy with the consulate thing.
True.
What we see also, by the way, is that he didn't ship Heavenly Kami, but he shipped the 300 wood, as you see near the town center there. Yeah. And that indicates as well that he's going for a very aggressive build, because you want to have your consulate, not gather any wood for it anymore. You need your shrine pop because you're going to mass out army fast. And thus you need your 300 wood shipment more than you need your Heavenly Kami at that point. The thing is, Blackstar, I'm not actually sure. His monkey scouted a lot of the map, but I don't think that he passed near the town center of Boneng yet. So at this point, I believe he doesn't know yet that there's no consulate up.
Yeah, and like you normally just would expect it to be there. Like scouting it is something like you wouldn't usually need to do, but of course he's going to scout him anyway. Most likely when he hits up to the colonial age to to see what wonder he goes up with. Going to come in now, possibly going to see it. But can these two scouts take out the monkey before he notices there's no consulate? Usually the consulate will be placed on the front because it tanks a lot of damage here. Hasn't seen it though, but it could still be.
This was a very nice move. I don't know if you noticed it, but he put 6 or 7 villagers inside the town center just to make sure that he killed the monkey right away because his heroes wouldn't be able to do so.
Yeah.
And that way he denied scouting on the left side of his base, so Blackstar currently is still in the dark about whether there is a consulate up or not.
That's true. But Germany definitely is doing what we would expect Germany to do. Has indeed. Oh, we do have the forward consulate coming forward. Certainly up there it is going to be training the clubman out of that. Definitely a confirmation of the aggressive build that Boneng is going for. This is going to be really interesting. Of course, Blackstar has gone for the trading post, which is definitely what they do. Germany does that. Obviously, wants it at the start of the game if he has enough wood to do so. Obviously, the other player will have less wood as well if you're not spawning with all the wood there, and it's kind of fair. But gets that trading post up now. We're collecting the wood in transition. Obviously, you're going to be collecting wood for a market as well, I would imagine. Yeah, there it is. Going to be collecting the wood for the steel traps, hunting dogs, etc., etc. Picks up 40 XP, not too bad. But yes, going to be going up to the Fortress Age, and obviously 2 settler wagons. Here is his first shipment, this insane shipment, the equivalent of 4 villages, and his next shipment will most likely be 3 settler wagons, which is absolutely insane, the equivalent of 6 villages, the 2 of the strongest shipments in the game, and that is obviously what gives Germany... Oh.
Yeah, hold on, because it looks like Blackstar is now scouting the middle of the map, so now he knows exactly what's coming up from the Japanese player. He also plays this strategy a few times himself, so he knows what's coming up.
So now maybe won't be sending those 3 vills. Certainly, laying down 2 barracks is a complete change in plan then.
The thing is, well, he made 1 barracks and the other one is going to be cancelled. I think, of course, he has a training post, like you mentioned, very standard German play. He chooses wisely not to go for a stable, because what you're expecting at this point is just Ashigaru's mate, Ashigaru shipped, and clubman mate. In other words, all anti-cavalry and all hard siege damage. So you need stuff like that. So you need both to deal with it.
Yeah, that's true. Crossbowmen are going to come out. Though the Yulan he's getting for free from these, 700 wood coming out, definitely. Going to use that, I imagine, to lay down another barracks and, of course, the housing and all. Use it to fund the production.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that
units.
he changed his shipment. I assume that he had 3 settler wagons on the way, but as soon as he saw this middle part, that's also why his scouting was perfectly on time, by the way. He scouted it on time, he cancelled his 3 settler wagons, he made a Rex instead of a stable. He waited to build his Rex or stable, by the way. I'm not sure if you noticed.
Yeah.
He was checking the middle and then he dropped it down. Yep, so very good play by Blackstar there as well.
Here comes the rush, though. 10 Ashigaru Musketeers coming in. Obviously, a very strong unit, costing 120, of course, resources here. The crossbowmen, though, are the counter. They do have a 1.3 times damage multiplier against them, so quite nice, the crossbowmen there. And he has, of course, the cavalry that he gets for free from his shipments here, though still very scary. Ashigaru Musketeers move very quickly, faster than normal units, and for that reason, if you have more of them, it doesn't matter if crossbowmen do have that multiplier. You can just swamp them. Don't let the crossbowmen have their range advantage. But here, takes out the house, obviously with the clubman with the insane siege damage there, and is now got a small advantage, but now walking back, probably waiting for his next units before he goes back in.
Yeah, we saw that Boneng did the standard rush style, so to say, so he shipped twice the 5 Ashigaru Musketeers and made a couple more. But as you see, the bow that Blackstar made, and now 8 crossmen shipped as well, is just the perfect counter to deal with this. He has the range advantage, so he can just micro his way back. Of course, Ashigaru very strong. He even brought his heroes.
Well, yeah, wow, that is so many crossbowmen. Here we're going to take the fight, though, and it's obviously it's not as uneven as you might think. Ashigaru is a very expensive unit, very strong unit with a lot of hit points here. Going to be very good against, of course, what he has. Crossbowmen, yes, they're a counter, but they're not that. Obviously, it's only a 1.3 damage multiplier. They're only slightly more cost efficient at fighting musks than
the thing is that Boneng in the next battle like this, he should be moving his heroes up front to make it harder for Blackstar to micro on the Ashigarus. These heroes would be tanking a lot of damage, and that's the only reason why you bring them to this battle. They're not making shrines so far. The only thing is that they tank a lot.
Yeah, you have them on the front, obviously 375 hit points. If you have them on the front, your opponent attack moves, and then they'll attack the closest thing to them, which will be the heroes, which will sponge up all of that damage, and the Ashies, which are your high DPS unit that have low HP, will obviously be protected there, as Venny is pointing out. Absolutely true.
Yeah, and from this point on, it was like mentioned, perfect scout and reaction by Blackstar. So Boneng, he can't really go into the economy Japanese play anymore. The only thing he can do is going for Yumis, I guess. He now shipped 5 Yumis, and I hope he's making Yumis.
Yeah, he needs those, that's for sure.
If he's gonna go for a Yumi Ashigaru army, he can still do okay. Adding Naginatis would probably be too costly, as he has very few shrines, no market, and not the best village account.
And no stable, of course.
And no stable yet, of course, either, yes. Yeah, but he could ship he could ship from the consulate at 100 export into a stable rickshaw.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't think it would be wise because it would be too costly.
No, but Blackstar going up to the next stage, he thinks he's okay, he's got a nice crossbow mass, he scoured this incoming pressure and dealt with it really well. Normally, you just wouldn't expect this to come out, because this build is not very good relative to what Japan can actually do with the economic focus, but manages to see it. A raid there, they'll get the 2 Yolans being taken out there. That's true, but anyway, the point I'm making, 700 coin was sent to get him up to the next stage. He just spent 2,200 resources on aging, and of course that's not military units. Here, Boneng obviously has a large army here, sending constant military shipments, and now he really needs to make something happen, but calling the Minutemen there to deflect this pressure. Looks like he's going to be okay. Looks like he can get up unharassed. He's already up.
Yeah, this is a very nice move. I think Boneng kind of felt that Blackstar might be aging, and that's why he wanted to push out. But indeed, just too many crossbowmen to defend this, and with proper micro, of course, Boneng could engage it, but he would lose cost effectively.
Yeah.
And this is now a very hard spot to play on. He's now going to build a stable, or actually it is probably the rickshaw I was talking about, as you see here.
Yeah,
but the thing is that, yeah, then actually the Ashigaru will come into handy, because Blackstar is likely to ship 8 skirmishers first. So adding Naginatas can change something, but he's just in a very, very rough spot. Still no market, still very few shrines. As you see.
It's like, you just think of Japan and you think how strong economically they are from the shrine boom that he didn't do. He doesn't have that. We're looking at Japan here, a weak Japan, that you normally associate the strength of the economy here. He's not going to be able to make very many cavalry units, which is definitely what he needs against an army that is almost exclusively light infantry, crossbowmen and skirmishers, very weak to cav. I don't know.
Yeah, he ships now also the 600 wood to catch up, probably make a few more shrines because he was housed at 60-60, and also to get in the market and a few upgrades. Very nice, by the way. One little scout from Blackstar, just one crossbowman, seeing what's happening here, seeing if the army is out of position or not, seeing if there's any change, for example, to Yumi's, and maybe even, for example, if a stable would be dropped down there. So nice little scouting move there.
Absolutely. Blackstar very vigilant, making sure he sees what units are coming out, so he knows if he needs to switch to a particular unit or not. And definitely that's what you need to do to keep in the game. And as we saw, like, he saw the consulate in the barracks, very, very vigilant, making sure he knows what's going on. But gonna push out here. Now that he has 3 war wagons, he feels more comfortable about pushing out, possibly, since, of course, he had no anti-cavalry, and he'd be very, very vulnerable to any kind of cavalry that Boneng would put on him. But now he's got these war wagons, he's okay. Gonna start sieging down this consulate, and of course the barracks there for afterwards. Boneng doesn't want to go in just yet. He's got nothing to counter that. All of Red's units here are light infantry, going to be very effective against Blue. He needs some cavalry to go in there.
Boneng made 3 samurai?
3 samurai instead of cavalry.
What's this?
Let's take a look at the shipments tab. He didn't ship. They must have been trained. What does he want those for?
Yeah, of course, well, they do tank up quite a lot of damage similar to a Doppelsoldner, but I mean, with so much infantry around, I don't feel they're really useful.
Where are these samurai?
Left side.
Oh, they're there. Yes, I see. Why am I doing?
Charge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They could be good. Like, they certainly do a lot of damage versus cavalry. 26 times 1.8 with a 1 area damage there. If he can get them close up to the Yulan and even the war wagons, that could be really good. But, he's just lost 400 wood worth of infrastructure here. Yes, this army doesn't have a lot of siege damage, but still it's completely uncontested. And now he's going to move forward onto his base.
Yeah, just 6 Nagi out, or 5 actually. 5 Nagis out, 1 more in queue, so we will soon have a second batch. I assume the next batch is gonna be full out Nagi.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I like this move actually. He's gonna buy himself time raiding the German player. The only thing is, he has to be really careful not to get caught. If this army gets trapped, which it looks like Black.
Oh no, that's not 9 Yolan popping out there. Perhaps gonna, well, actually he's okay for now, but if the red army gets here, obviously Ashies move very quickly, they can escape. But if he gets snared by the Yolan, of course they'll attack him, and once they're attacked, their movement speed is decreased and they'll be stuck there. As you were saying, yeah, buying himself some time, attacking the red player, making the red army come away from his base, giving him a bit more time, but yes, that might have been the move he needed, but here he's going to get trapped, as you can see. Though, having said that, those skirmishers aren't quite here yet. Dealt with most of the Yulan, and in the back here, these Nagis are killing a lot of villagers.
Yeah, but the Nagis should be moved towards the skirmishers, I feel. At this point, you should be attacking villagers. However, there's just too much of an army for Blackstar, and he trapped it nicely. It was a risky move of Boneng. I felt he also stayed there too long, seizing the town center makes no sense. And of course, also the samurai slow down the Ashigarus, which normally can raid a lot more effective. Yeah. So actually, he traded away his army for a couple of fills and 8 Ulens or so, but that's not worth it at this point when you're already behind, I feel.
I think that was a risk he had to take. But unfortunately, as you point out there, this army, especially with the Nagis actually not killing the skirmishers either. It's tough.
He ships a daimyo, so I think Blackstar will use 8 Ulans or something afterwards. He still has no stable, keep in mind, so he's only able to make skirmishes or maybe some doppelsoldaten's, but he's very low on anti-cavalry at the point.
Yeah, if he gets a lot of cav, could be good. Of course, this is a very strong cavalry unit in itself. In fact, 650 hit points is very, very good. Oh, a barracks going down for Boneng, deletes it though.
Yeah, misplaced.
Yeah, but yes, like this is upgrading all of his units. The problem is though, what is it upgrading? There's not really a huge amount of stuff there. Unfortunately, losing the 2 clubmen there from the consulate. Oh, I don't know. Let's take a look at the queue and see what he has coming out. He does have a Naginata in queue, and obviously he can put 4 more in queue just before they pop. I think 10 Nagis plus this Daimyo plus the maybe a shipment. I don't know. Maybe he spent all of his shipments though. But then plus the Minutemen, of course, the Sentries and the regulars.
Where did the Daimyo go?
He's running around on the map
somewhere.
Yeah, he's here. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the towns that are now being sieged, this is where red is going to force a fight. Blue has to make something happen. He's probably waiting on the Nagis to pop out, then he'll call his sentries and of course his irregulars all at the same time, and hopefully combine that with a shipment of units as everything comes in and converges.
He was nicely trying with the Nagis, by the way, to catch any reinforcements, just to make sure no more skirmishes.
Oh wow, yeah, using these to catch any skirmishes that are walking toward. Wow.
And now Minutemen pop out. Whoa, this is really overcommanded with Blackstar. He has no anti-cavalry and he's staying so long near town center
yeah.
What are the Naginatas doing?
The Naginatas need to get a surround on the skirmishers. You need to go now, Boneng. What are you doing? You've used your town center, of course, to focus down the war wagons so there is no anti-cavalry to oppose these Nagas. But yes, he's managed to get into a surround, but I think it's a little too late, actually. It's certainly taken a little too much damage before actually getting into combat there. And I think as a result of that, Blackstar is going to be okay.
Well, actually, Blackstar came out, I would say almost ahead in this fight. This is really weird. This is not how it should have happened, to be honest. There was a... Oh, Blackstar also made a stable, by the way, so now he has more anti-cavalry joining.
Alright, more war wagons, yeah, here they are.
Well, Naginatas do very good, but of course a lone Naginata rider is not gonna clean this up on his own.
And I think that concludes the game here. We'll see the resign any second now. Here we have 35 villages to Blackstar, 31 to Boneng. So Blackstar is slightly ahead, and here's 33 military population to Boneng 0. See, now we've got 3 Nagas on the field, but they've only just been trained, and I can't see what they're going to do versus 5 war wagons. Boneng resigns. That is the end of the game. A nice, very interesting strategy that if it had caught Germany off guard, if Germany had not, it just assumed that Japan would do the thing they do 99% of the time, then it could have been a very different outcome indeed. Boneng taking that risk, but Blackstar not going to fall for any BS. Very, very vigilant player, possibly one of the strongest, and of course, characterized by his always scouting and etc. etc.
Yeah, it shows really the importance of scouting in a strategy game. One might say very obvious, but still I see too many players who just don't scout enough. Well, actually, they don't scout or they don't scout enough, and it also comes down to what I said before. You have to keep scouting to know what your opponent is doing, not just from the start, but also afterwards. Is he adding a stable? Is he not? What kind of units is he making, etc.
Exactly.
Scouting is knowing, and that means that you can better anticipate and adapt to your opponent.
Yep. Knowledge is power, and knowledge in AOE3 is scouting.
Yep. And by the way, if you look at the military unit count, you see that around the 12-minute mark, Boneng traded away his whole army for just like a third or so or half of Blackstar's army, so that was not the most worthy trade there. Yeah,
not so good. But yeah, Japan playing this funky build that's actually not that good overall. Can certainly be good if you catch your opponent off guard, going with the Azamp style YOLO swag, and actually Boneng does that quite a lot, like Ace. But yeah, the other strategy, the boomy one that you associate with Japan is definitely the stronger, but perhaps trying to catch him off guard doesn't pay off. Very interesting game, and perhaps we'll have some more coming up in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it came down. It was a risky strategy. It's of course an interesting strategy to show because obviously we often see very standard play from Japan. But yeah, it's very easy to summarize. If you scout it and you adapt correctly, like Blackstar did, then yeah, the strategy will just fail.